The spring of 1956, the counselor of Phyllis Wheatley High School in San Antonio, Texas, called several of us into the office to inform us that the University of Texas was desegregating, and we should put our applications in.
That was in 56. In 55 is when Emmett Till over in Mississippi had been savagely killed. That flashed across my mind, but education was more tantamount to my succeeding.
The environment, even today, is charged, not only here but around the country, still dealing with racially motivated behavior. So I can't imagine what it was like for those 75 or so men and women that came here in 1956, just 2 years following Brown versus Board of Education.
The tuition at that time was $25 a semester. Then it became a no-brainer where I would be attending school. I had no preconceived ideas about what I would encounter. As a 17-year-old kid, I just wanted to I was going to college.
What was new to me was, I guess, me being around, I guess I had a bigger problem, me being around whites than they did being around me, you know. That's probably was a shift there, you know. I probably had more problem adjusting to that than they did adjusting to me. So I guess that kind of neutralized it, you know. I was fully aware that they didn't want me there, you know, and then I knew I had to deal with that, so it didn't. And I was used to understanding that kind of stuff.
Just about any class you would go to, you would be shunned away or ignored, obviously. And in some classes, you would not be called upon, even if class participation was part of your grade. Then there were other professors who were understanding and would help you and said, do you need any help or anything like that?
I guess I was more interested in just going to school, you know, in a way. I wasn't looking for any trouble, you know. I was kind of prepared in case it came along, but I wasn't looking for it. And we were dealing with legal segregation. That's what we were dealing with in 56, 57, 58, until I left.
Jim Crow was everywhere. But coming from the San Antonio area, where, and I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood. In fact, my first, and I guess it's naive to say this, but my first real experience about racism did not occur until I set foot on this campus.
We couldn't go anywhere on the drag other than the co-op. We couldn't go to the Nighthawk. We couldn't go to any of the restaurants, so we had to eat on campus.
What is now known as West Campus, you wouldn't set foot on West Campus. You didn't set foot in downtown. I mean, Austin was very segregated as well. So our circle of activity was the campus, walk down MLK, which wasn't called MLK at the time, to the east side.
But let me tell you something that happened to us. We would go to the east side where the majority of African Americans live. Do you know they ran us back over here and say, you're those smart, snooty guys. We don't want you over here. We're not good enough for you guys, but they don't want you over there, so what are you gonna do?
You certainly didn't participate in Barton Creek and things like that. You would hear your fellow classmates talking about, oh, I had a great time at Barton Creek or some other place like that. That was unheard of for us.
Most of our experiences have never been put in the books, just like most African American histories have not been written. Stories have to be told and to show that we can overcome.
I think it's important for young students to realize that what they are experiencing now as a given didn't just happen. Someone had to be there first to make that, to break the ice, so to speak. So I think it's important for them to hear, for young people to hear that someone came before them an opportunity that they now have. Just like the opportunity that I had to come here came at the expense of Marion Sweat, who had to go endure enormous difficulties beginning in 1946. So from 46 to 56, that was 10 years of the struggle and the legal battles that took place for me to even set foot as a freshman here in 1956.
Well, I think it's, when you consider the state of the country today, well, I guess it's important that people know that you never can give up, Now you've heard the saying, the struggle continues. Well, it does.
I swore that when I left the campus, I would never set foot on this campus again. I mean, that was the feeling I had. And I can't explain why, but when I did leave and when I had bought my first car through the Texas Exes, I got a decal that said University of Texas, and I put it on my car. And noticing how no matter where you travel, you would get the hook 'em horn sign because they couldn't see that I was black or anything like that. So begin you evolved into appreciation of the school.
A lot of my family asked me, how can you guys be so caught up in the burnt orange and UT when maybe you didn't have them supporting you back then? And Charles and all of us can sit, and we don't know. I don't know. I really don't. But we love it. I don't know. But I'd come back again if that's the ultimate question.